the great man we've been waiting for?
I think I could be.
What's up, all my movie-loving maniacs? It's your boy Bankful B of the Lassiter Factor, and Wicked is surely coming around the corner, but I got one more Wizard of Oz related movie left to talk about, and that is Oz the Great and Powerful. So, let's review. So, Oz the Great and Powerful came out in 2013 and is directed by Sam Raimi, who is known for the Evil Dead movies and the Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire. But in this movie, he tackles the world of Oz, in which we follow the titular character, Oz, the man that Dorothy and her friends were in pursuit of in the original movie, and turns out that he was a fraud, but still granted them what they were looking for, and then just went away in a hot air balloon. But in this movie, we see his origin story. We see that he is a struggling musician, and then he got in a hot air balloon and ended up in the land of Oz, in which he fulfills a prophecy that will overtake some evil witches and become the ruler of Oz. Now, I remember when this came out 11 years ago. When I heard about it, I was like, a Wizard of Oz related movie, that is interesting. And then I saw everyone who was in it, and I was like, that could be fun. And I did end up seeing it, and I thought it was pretty fun and okay. It wasn't particularly one of my favorite movies of the year it came out, but it was a movie that I quite enjoyed and was pretty fond of. But recently, I've been rewatching The Wizard of Oz and movies related to that movie, and so how do I feel about this movie with the other movies, including Return to Oz, which I've recently watched for the first time? Because both this and Return to Oz were made by Disney. Now, I basically still feel the same way as I did about this movie 11 years ago, but there are a lot of things about this movie that still hold up and are still pretty good. Like, for example, I remember seeing this movie, and when the opening credits happening, it was in black and white, and it was in a different aspect ratio than it was at the time. It was a good way to massage us back into the feel of the original Wizard of Oz, but at the same time pay homage to it. And then when Oz gets to Oz, the aspect ratio changes. It goes from the box to a widescreen. I thought that was a unique technique right there. And of course, it all goes into black and white. And Sam Raimi, he does lend his filmmaking style to this film. I mean, it's still wholesome when it needed to be wholesome, but you still get his horror sensibilities within this movie, particularly during the third act of this movie. And of course, he brought over some people from when he was working on the Spider-Man movies, and that is James Franco. Yeah, given all his controversies lately, I'm not gonna talk too much about him, but I will say that he did a good job playing this character. He did a good job at showing Oz during his early stages as an amateur musician, and then he even says in the movie, I don't want to be good, I want to be great. I really liked his arc in this movie because he went from being selfish to eventually selfless, and he uses all his tricks and cons to his benefit in this movie. And when it gets to Oz, he eventually meets the first witch, which is played by Mila Kunis, at a time when Mila Kunis was like the #1 female actress in the world at the time. Well, one of the top female actresses in the world due to beauty, but still. And I'll say this, she was good doing the first act of the movie, but it's the second act that gives me pause, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But the movie also does keep in the spirit of the original, in which you have the real world counterparts and you have the Oz counterparts. And Oz's partner in the movie is played by Zach Braff, but when he gets to Oz, he's played by a flying monkey. And through him, Oz learns how to treat people better and learns how to consider people friends. Even in the real world, he comes across this little girl that sees him do a great magic trick, and she's played by Joey King, and she has no legs, or she just can't walk, and so she asks Oz, can you make me walk again? And of course he can't. But then when he gets to the real world, her Oz counterpart is a little hourglass girl, and she gets her legs broken, but luckily through some special glue, he's able to fix her. Now, the head witch is played by Rachel Weisz, and she is definitely conning everybody because she is truly evil. She killed the father of Glinda the Good Witch. banishes Glinda and frames her talking about she's an evil witch, and she even frames her sister, which is the Mila Kunis witch. And she is also the reason why the Mila Kunis witch basically turns into the green wicked witch that we all know and love. And I guess that's also where my spawn of the witch laugh came from, because, well, one, I didn't expect Mila Kunis to do that, but just that first laugh that she does. She basically gives her a green apple that rots her heart and makes her all wicked and takes away all the good feelings that she has. And then finally we get to Glinda the Good Witch, who is played by Michelle Williams. And I thought she was really excellent here. And I do like basically her whole backstory of trying to clear her name and trying to get revenge, or some slight revenge, for what the witches did to her father. And she does help Oz reclaim Oz. But of course, the heart of this movie is definitely Oz, because at the end they plan an attack on the witches and take back Emerald City, and he basically cons everybody, but with good intentions. He tries to play like he goes off into the air balloon and basically abandons everybody, but it turns out that he is still alive, and he makes that classic machine that makes the floating head, making everybody believe that he is dead, but then it turns out he came back to life even more powerful. He scares the witches away, and then there's this epic witch battle between Michelle Williams and Rachel Weisz. And that part right there is really where I was talking about, where Sam Raimi's horror sensibilities came in, and it was used sparingly. And then we get the ending where he basically gives everybody gifts, and which is a way of him saying thank you to everybody for helping him. And then that's basically where we leave him, and how he gets to be the Oz that we saw him in The Wizard of Oz. I will say though, some elements in this movie did not hold up, particularly the special effects. You can definitely tell this is definitely 2013 green screen effects, and some of them it does work at times, but sometimes it's just like, yeah, I can notice. Overall, not much really changed for me about this movie. I mean, like I said, I feel the same way about this movie as I did 11 years ago. It's just a fun little fantasy movie that you can put on, but it also works within the context of the Wizard of Oz universe. James Franco did a good job as the character. Everyone else, with the exception of Mila Kunis, once she turns into the Green Witch, I'll admit, I did have a hard time believing her as the classic wicked Green Witch. I just felt like she was just putting on a costume or just doing cosplay, and I'm like, stop it. But everybody else, whether it's an in-camera performance or voiceover performance, did great. And Sam Raimi, I felt, really crafted a good movie centered around a man that learns to not be selfish anymore and to use all his faults to his advantage. I'm gonna give Oz the Great and Powerful the heart eyes emoji. And that's basically it. I'm officially done marathoning previous Wizard of Oz movies, and this was pretty fun. It was a marathon that wasn't as long as the Alien movies, but I'm glad it was that short, because even with the Alien movies, that started to feel like a chore at times. But this right here, it was a little bit fun revisiting some movies that I ain't seen in a long time, and seeing how basically time progressed in the system of Hollywood in terms of filmmaking and special effects. And these movies are basically good movies to showcase that. And it does help me learn the lore of The Wizard of Oz. I mean, of course, that first movie is a classic. The Wiz, I felt, was a solid remake. Return to Oz, hey, as weird as that movie was, it was a noble effort that also gained a following. And I don't know how the legacy of Oz the Great and Powerful will be beyond 11 years, but we shall see. But I am looking forward to Wicked. I can't wait to see what they do with the Oz lore through this movie. But that's it for the day, and thank you so much for watching. Have you seen Oz the Great and Powerful, and have you seen any other Oz related movies? If so, let me know what you think of them in the comment section below. This your boy Bangful B of the Lassiter Factor. Stay safe, wash your hands, peace.